Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Here to talk about the super middleweight fight taking place this weekend in Germany between former middleweight champion Arthur Abraham and Stjepan Bozic. Now, let me just say, sometimes the best fights to bet on are the ones that the public are ignoring, involving fighters who are, quite frankly, in must win situations. Before I go further, let me just say the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Arthur Abraham needs to resurrect his career. There simply is no question about it. He looked awful against Carl Froch. Froch arguably pitched a shutout in their fight, looked fantastic, made Abraham look like he was walking around the ring in cement shoes. Abraham couldn't move. Abraham was really lost in the fight. And of course, if you think it through, that was the second straight loss that Abraham had. His career, quite frankly, is in jeopardy, right? Now, um, let's think about and talk about what Carl Froch did that literally shut Abraham down. For one thing, Froch is very highly skilled, and Froch actually uses the whole ring. Um, the first thing is Froch doesn't face you like I'm facing you right now, right? Froch, like many elite fighters, right? Think Floyd Mayweather, stands at the side. His left shoulder is towards you, right? Then, of course, he actually leans. Not only are you not getting a full view, you're already only getting a side view. He has his head tucked behind his shoulder. Then he leans forward, right, from the waist. Literally leans forward. So if you wanted to hit Carl Froch's body, you're going to have to get by his shoulder and get by his lean. Then, of course, Froch, who does have an excellent jab, and he also has an excellent left hook, right? Same hand he would use to jab. You don't know which one is coming. Then Froch does something that fighters don't do enough of. Rather than throw the jab to give his opponent a lot of countering opportunities, what Froch does most of the time, in my opinion, is he feints. This is a move that David Haye does as well. And understand, feinters who are blessed with punching power literally can paralyze their opponents off the feints. Because if Froch hints that he's going to throw a left hook or hints that he's going to throw an overhand right? Because the right hand, he's right hand dominant, and he has that right hand cocked behind the Philly shell defense. If he hints that he's going to throw it, you have to respect it because you know that if he does throw it, it might be hard enough to knock you down, if not out. So what I saw in that fight was Froch realizing that he was much, and I emphasize the word much more mobile than Arthur Abraham, staying outside and literally feinting Arthur Abraham to death. He would feint Abraham. Abraham was too paralyzed. Keep in mind, Abraham, very different fight style than Froch. He's not Philly shell. He's not hiding, behind a shoulder. Rather, Abraham is actually in front of you, and he has his hands up like this, right? In other words, he's not turned to the side. He's literally facing you, and he has his hands together like this. In my opinion, that's less advanced than Carl Froch. I thought what Abraham was going to do in that fight was to step forward and make that fight a shootout. To basically say, Carl, I think I punch as fast as you do. I'm going to force you to defend yourself because I can't stay back and be fainted to death. But sadly for Abraham, I got the feeling that after he gave away the first few rounds, which he always does for stamina purposes, he then was too afraid or too outthought, whatever word you want to use. They actually stepped forward on Carl Froch, and I thought Froch just did a masterful job of, dissembling Abraham's bomb. Let me also point out, too, that Froch had lateral movement, and so Froch would feint Abraham here, then Froch would come over to the side and throw punches, and Abraham, still defending himself off the feint, didn't know what to do when Froch would hit him with a couple of punches on the side. Then, of course, Froch would take a step back, back away, not give Abraham a chance to engage him. Now, the reason I say all that is the kind of advanced stuff that Carl Froch was doing in his fight. Bozic does none of that, right? Bozic is not going to be in and out, hiding behind a shoulder, feinting, throwing a jab, throwing accurate punches from distance, getting back out, bouncing to the side. That's not Bozic. He's a tough guy, right? He's going to be in your face, try to walk you down while you try to walk him down in a man against man, who's the baddest man in the ring type fight. Well, that creates a betting opportunity for you and me. Abraham is a big favorite. If you're betting in the UK's established sports books, you're going to see that Abraham is a 9-1 favorite. Quite frankly, if you're betting on one of these legally ambiguous online sports books in places like the United States, the line you're going to get for Abraham's even worse than that. I've seen Abraham as high as 24-1. Right? With Bozic, you're getting at least 8-1 underdog odds, right? Plus 800. Forget those odds. Neither of those odds is really worth taking a look at, except the Bozic play as a possible straddle. No, the odd I like, and this is in the UK sports books, is Abraham by KO. Think about it. You're getting one of the elite punchers in the entire sport. Abraham would not be where he is if he didn't have off the page outlier punching power. He is a puncher first and foremost. But because he was unable to knock out Andre Durrell, at least officially, because he was unable to knock out Carl Froch, you're literally getting a minus 162 on Abraham to win by KO, right? And of course, since Bozic isn't going to be doing advanced procedures to make this fight a boxing match instead of a shootout, I believe that you have an excellent opportunity in this fight. You can literally, and a minus 162 means bet 162 to win 100. I believe your straddle is to take Abraham by KO straddled against Bozic by KO, and Bozic by KO, believe it or not, is as high as a 12-1. Keep in mind, he's already an 8-1 just to win the fight. So let's break down the math on a possible bet, because I actually think this is worth a look. If you place $162 or pounds on Abraham to win by KO, right, you would win $100 if that happens. You can straddle that by placing just a meager 20 on Bozic by KO to win 200, right, at very conservative 10-1 odds. You can even place less to win 200 if your casino's offering Bozic by KO at the 12-1 that I mentioned earlier. Understand that if Abraham wins by knockout, you net $80, right? On an outlay of 162 plus 20, 182. You would net 80. And keep in mind, this is on a fight where Abraham already is a 9-1 favorite, right? So you're getting a huge favorite. If he wins by knockout, you're still netting 80 on an outlay of 182. If Bozic shocks us and gets the KO, and let me point out, that's Bozic's game. He's in there trying to knock you out. Also, if Abraham really has slipped, then, the other guy getting a knockout in a shootout, that's a possibility. If Bozic gets the KO, you bet 20 at 10-1 odds, you would actually win 200 minus the 162 that you bet on the other side, you would net $38, right? If Bozic were to win by KO, which quite frankly isn't bad for an insurance straddle. Keep in mind, we're not even expecting that to happen, but if it happened, you'd be able to stand in line at the casino thinking, I'll be damned, while collecting money, even on the side of the bet that you didn't expect to happen, right? And so that's the play I like in this fight. I don't see it going the distance. I think Arthur Abraham, the most likely scenario is Arthur Abraham in Germany gets a knockout against a guy who's immobile, who's not going to faint like Carl Froch, who's not going to have the defense, have the variety of punches. Keep in mind, Froch not only can hit you up close with that left hook, but he also has a pretty brutal uppercut that he can literally throw from several feet away. He's very accurate from very long range, right? And my point is that gives a certain efficacy to his feints that Bozic's not going to have. In other words, Carl Froch could literally be 2 feet away from you, and he's feinting, and you have to respect that because you know he's knocked out guys from that distance, right? Such is not the case with Bozic. I think we're all going to be surprised at how much closer to Bozic physically Abraham is able to get compared with his other opponents. Keep in mind, too, Abraham has literally faced some very, mobile fighters, right? Andre Durrell rarely stays still in the ring. Even Jermaine Taylor, there's a distance there that's hard to shorten early in the fight, at least, because Taylor's hitting you with a jackhammer jab, right? Bozic doesn't have a jackhammer jab. He doesn't have Andre Durrell's movement. I think we get back to Arthur Abraham doing what he does best, and that's knockout fighters. And anytime a casino is going to give you a minus 162 for that against a less than elite opponent, I say you take it. Let me also point out, too, that Bozic is in his mid 30s. He's an older fighter. Again, my theory in boxing is that older fighters won't take more punishment than they have to. So if Bozic is in the fight and he gets hit with a few bombs and he feels that it's not his night, then being a guy who's 35 or 36 years old, he might well quit on his stool rather than go out and continue to take unnecessary punishment against a guy with a bigger punch who is intent on getting the knockout. I think that further increases the chances that Abraham wins this fight by knockout. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Um, Again, my recommended play is Abraham by KO at a minus 162, straddled against Bozic by KO. I think you're going to get maximum bang for your buck in a fight, quite frankly, where if you just look at it at face value, with Abraham being a 9-1 to 24-1 favorite, doesn't look worth betting on. I think it is if you look at the prop bets. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.